What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Controlled Chaos Gaming. My name is Andy, and today we're going to showcase Roaring Moon from Paradox Rift in combination with some brand new cards such as Brute Bonnet and more OHKO. And on the other side, we're going to have Rapid Strike Box featuring the brand new card Iron Valiant. Both of these Pokemon are going to be excellent in this matchup, and we're going to get to see it right after we show you our new sponsor. Head on over to Kayfabe Cards in Riverton, Utah for all things tabletop. This store is home to Pokemon, One Piece, Flesh and Blood, and more, selling both singles and sealed product in-store and online. You'll find their massive assortment of Pokemon plushies, sleeves, deck boxes, and other staple products. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to Kayfabe Cards. We'll see you there. Now here we are getting into the video. On the right side, we have Roaring Moon being played by myself, and on the left side, we have Iron Valiant Rapid Strike Box being played by Matt. Looks like a mulligan to start it off here. I think both players are wanting to go a specific way. Of course, Rapid Strike Box wanting to go first, and Roaring Moon typically wanting to go second in a matchup like this. Although I found out when we were playing the games that as Roaring Moon, you typically want to go first in the games so that you can set up and your opponent does not get to go second. And your opponent does not get to go first. Apologies. So here we are, we got a basic. That's going to be 2 mulligans over to the Roaring Moon side. And flipping it over, it looks like the Rapid Strike player is going first. So got an Iron Valiant to start versus a Squawkabilly, and they're going to start off with that Heavy Ball. Ooh, but 2 Urshifu being prized is definitely problematic in a deck that doesn't play very many to begin with. So they're going to grab one of those out, put it onto the bench immediately, and in this deck, there is no Inteleon, so those Urshifu are your only manners of attacking, meaning you have to have them on the field pretty early. Now we see a Forest Seal Stone being attached and a Rapid Strike Energy, and then a pass. Over to the other side, Roaring Moon has an Ancient Booster that they're going to attach to the Squawkabilly, and it looks like they're just going to Squawk and Seize, not starting out well, getting rid of a bunch of good resources, so we're going to see what they get. Looks like a Roaring Moon, another Ancient Booster Capsule, and we're going to see an Ultra Ball here. Ultra Ball going to discard another Dark Energy and a Switch Cart to go grab likely another Roaring Moon. Does have the Professor Sawdust Vitality in hand, which attaches to 2 Roaring Moon and draws 3 cards. In this matchup, you're really only wanting to take 2 KOs, obviously the Urshifu VMAX for both of them. So I think I remember myself waiting for Matt to evolve into Urshifu VMAX to take a knockout. So we're seeing, looks like a Earthen Vessel here to go grab a couple energy out of the deck, and gonna attach for turn and just pass it over. Not anything else in hand, so really hoping that Matt doesn't find anything too crazy. Here we are back onto the Rapid Strike Box side. Looks like they've got a second Rapid Strike Energy and a Research. They're gonna attach that and research for a fresh 7 cards. They're really looking for a knockout on this Squawkabilly this turn, and some damage on one of the Roaring Moons. Of course, Urshifu VMAX can spread 120 damage to 2 Pokemon, so it's very good for the matchup. Now, looking over this, the Squawkabilly having the Ancient Booster Capsule might be confusing to some people, but this deck does play Thornton, which can actually switch Pokemon and leave all the cards attached to it. So that is why it was attached before the Squawk and Seize. Looks like an Urshifu VMAX is being grabbed here on the Rapid Strike side, likely going to try and set up for a Rapid Flow either this turn or the next. Now, one mistake that was made here was using the Tachyon Bits is fine, however, evolving the Urshifu is not a good choice unless you're going to use Rapid Flow in this matchup. If I did happen to have Boss, that means that it could potentially go down in the future. So here we go, Escape Rope bringing up the Roaring Moon and another Iron Valiant here. And Tachyon Bits is going to activate once again, and they're likely going to choose the active. choosing the active here means that if a insta-KO happens, that it's only a couple damage away from the knockout. And it looks like they're debating what else they want to do this turn. They are just going to evolve into the Urshifu again. This is not correct if they get boss, which I did, so gonna boss up and insta-KO that Urshifu with Frenzied Gouging. It does 200 damage to this Roaring Moon, but with no attackers on the Rapid Strike box side, this is an incredible play. So going back over to the Rapid Strike box, they're really wanting to knock out this Roaring Moon with the Tachyon bits, which currently it has 220 damage on it and 290 HP. So they're still going to need quite a bit of damage, 4 of the Tachyon bits to be exact, but that's definitely doable if they can find that last Iron Valiant this turn. Looks like using Town Store here to grab the de-evolution tool, not necessary in this matchup, so might have a Research in their hand. They're going to retreat into the Iron Valiant and use Tachyon bits onto the benched Roaring Moon, and it looks like they're just going to pass. So, going to be a Trekking Shoes here. Looks like debating if they want to grab the Pokestop, and it looks like I am. So, using Dark Patch here, and we're going to see a Town Store to grab potentially that Forest Sealstone. Yep, and there we go. Grabbing the Forest Sealstone, of course, not active right now, but is thinning the deck actively. So, I think this turn, if energy is attached to that Roaring Moon on the bench, it's pretty much game over. So, we're going to play the Pokestop here. It discards a bunch of supporter cards, but at this point, I don't think it matters too much. We're going to see a Jet Energy attached to the Roaring Moon on the bench, and it's going to come into the active. And this Roaring Moon only has to use Calamity Storm to take a knockout because of that Pokestop in play. So Calamity Storm doing 220 damage and instantly knocking out that Iron Valiant. Here we go. The Iron Valiant side, can they do anything? They're just going to retreat, use Tachyon bits onto the active, attach for turn, attach the Devolution, and pass the turn. So it's going to be on to the Roaring Moon side to see what they want to do. It looks like they are going to use a Nest Ball for the Luminion, going to use Forest Sealstone, Star Alchemy for a Stadium, and use Calamity Storm for 220 damage and the KO. That was a really quick game, so let's get into one more. Hope you're appreciating these videos and all the hard work that goes into editing these videos and playing a bunch of games on Tabletop just to find a couple that are good. We recently hit 500 subscribers, so thank you guys so much, and we're proud to announce that we're now looking forward to reaching for 1,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed already, make sure to do that on our way to 1,000. Okay, here we go. We got the Brute Bonnet and a, looks like gonna debate the Ancient Booster Capsule there as they attach to Roaring Moon. Looks like they're choosing to go first this time so that Rapid Strike does have to go second. And it looks like they're gonna draw for turn here. With that Squawkabilly in the active, might have to use Squawk and Seize here, finding a new hand, but it looks like they're gonna use Trekking Shoes first. So Trekking Shoes finds a Fighting Energy. They're going to keep that. They definitely want to get an attachment for turn on that Urshifu this turn. Looks like Ultra Ball to discard an Iono, and Devolution, of course, not going to matter in this matchup. Doing a little quick deck search here. Definitely want to see if there are enough Urshifu to put down 2 in this matchup, and then enough Iron Valiants to take multiple Tachyon bits procs in one turn. So in this matchup, Matt is definitely wanting to use Rapid Flow at least twice to win the game. That means Rapid Flow on likely a Roaring Moon and some support Pokemon, and then a Roaring Moon and another support Pokemon. It looks like the Medicham being flung across the screen here. So that's the general game plan for this Rapid Strike box. You want to use Tachyon bits, but you don't want your whole board to be Iron Valiants. You would like to set up ideally 2 of those Urshifu. So looking like they're going to attach for turn, and could be an Iono here. We see a Tower of Waters, and we're going to see that Iono. So Iono here going to shuffle up for both players and give them 6 cards after they put them at the bottom. And it looks like a Nest Ball coming out for the Rapid Strike box. Likely going to see that second Urshifu or a Iron Valiant established. Yeah, and it's going to be that second Urshifu. Really good for getting that back-to-back Rapid Flow turn in. Really have to be scared, though, of this Roaring Moon using its attack for 220 damage. Of course, can feed a Pokemon to it, but that is not ideal in any scenario. So the Iron Valiant here is going to be switched into the active, it looks like, and the Tachyon bits used on the active as well. And we're going to see if they bench a couple more Pokemon this turn and use that Squawk and Seize. Yeah, looking at that fancy looking Brute Bonnet. And we see the Medicham being benched and the Squawk and Seize here not benching that Remoraid, and instead is going to bench a second Iron Valiant. We're going to see the Forest Sealstone split up from the energy. This is a really good choice if you want to avoid getting KO'd with one of the Roaring Moons and losing both your Forest Sealstone and the energy. So now they have to determine what they want on the Roaring Moon side. But with only 2 prizes in play, it's got to be a very easy game plan here. Going to bench another Roaring Moon, and it looks like Trekking Shoes is going to keep a card. We're going to see discarding of the Collapse Stadium with that Earthen Vessel, grabbing 2 energy here, and are really wanting to get those energy into the discard pile so they can use Professor Sada's Vitality. One way they could do it is to attach to this attach to the active Roaring Moon and retreat, although that does set them back 2 turn attachments. So I'd like to see myself here go for a potential Pokestop or some other way to get them in the discard pile. And it looks like they do have Pokestop in hand, so they're going to use that Pokestop, really wanting to hit a Dark Energy. And they did hit 1 and an Ultra Ball, so that Ultra Ball can also discard a Dark Energy as well. We haven't seen it yet this game, but Morpeko is also a really good option in this Roaring Moon deck, as it has free retreat and hits for 70 damage. So we're going to see this Ultra Ball here discarding 2 Dark Energy, and it's going to grab out a Roaring Moon again. So 3 Roaring Moon established means that this game is going to go very quick, very fast. Wanting to get that 220 damage to knock out this Iron Valiant this turn, they're going to probably use the Professor Sada's Vitality to attach 2 energy from the discard to Roaring Moons and draw 3 cards. Really powering through the deck here, trying to find those Dark Patch and other good key essential cards. So we're seeing 1 and 2. Do remember that if you're playing this at home, you have to choose the Pokemon before, but we were making fun of the fact that it's public knowledge, so it's kind of weird to announce what you're attaching to. We're going to see the attachment to the active Roaring Moon and use its Calamity Storm for 220 damage, ripping through the Iron Valiant and discarding the Pokestop. We're going to see this Medicham come into the active here for the Rapid Strike box deck, and we're going to see a Tower of Waters, so can use that Tachyon bits this turn if they'd like to. With no support Pokemon on the field, this is looking really dire for the Rapid Strike box deck. They're really wanting to get set up here, but without that Remoraid being benched, it's really hard to get everything established all in one turn. Wow, but it looks like they did find the Urshifu and that Rapid Strike energy, so do have access to G-Max Rapid Flow this turn if they'd like to. And it looks like we might see a Professor Research this turn, getting rid of an Ultra Ball. Oh, but instead they're going to go for that Forest Sealstone to go grab, looks like a Thornton, potentially. Debating what they want to do this turn. And it's going to be that Research. I honestly thought they had a Research in hand, so this Forest Sealstone might just be used to be used, but we're going to see it for the Research. Hopefully they didn't already have one in hand. And we're going to see a Research here. It looks like they had an Arven in hand. That's what it was. So that Research there going to be a really good choice this game. And it looks like their Heavy Ball did have that Artillery Prize. So that makes sense now why they did not bench the Remoraid and the future turn. So with this Medicham in the active, they do have access to free retreat with that Tower of Waters, and are going to use Tachyon Bits, likely on the active, so that they can pile up for preventing the insta-KO on this Urshifu. And they're really looking for a switch card this turn, so that they can take a knockout, or sorry, not take a knockout, set up with this G-Max Rapid Flow. So we're going to see this Urshifu VMAX come into the active here, and does have access to that G-Max Rapid Flow, doing 120 damage to 2 Pokemon. So we're likely going to see it on the active and the benched Roaring Moon with energy, and that's what we're going to see. Oh, they actually go ahead with the Gale Thrust. I am not a fan of this play, as this Urshifu is likely getting KO'd with the Frenzied Gouging. Of course, destroying all of the damage that they had done to this Roaring Moon, setting it up for a potential Yoga Loop. So here we go, we're going to see the Earthen Vessel discarding a card to grab 2 Dark Energy out of the deck. Going to have access to attaching to this benched Roaring Moon, and we'll be able to use Frenzied Gouging this turn. Looks like debating what they're going to do this turn. They are going to... Looks like they're going to use Dark Patch here onto that benched Roaring Moon. And we're going to see a Professor Sada's Vitality here to attach just the 1, but Keely drawing 3 cards and that Boss's Orders for a potential next turn. We're going to see an attachment to the 3rd Roaring Moon, and we're going to see, looks like Frenzied Gouging to knock out both active Pokemon, of course doing 200 damage to the Roaring Moon and taking 3 prizes for that Urshifu instant KO. Gonna promote this active Roaring Moon here with the 3 energy. Is a little sketchy, but I think they're apparent at this time that the Roaring Moon deck cannot get KO'd by this Urshifu deck in 1 turn. And thanks to that KO taking all the damage off, this Yoga Loop is definitely not happening, and it looks like they give up the game. So that is going to be a quick set for Roaring Moon, winning this set and that final and first game. So thank you so much for watching, guys. If you really enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as we're on our way to 1,000 subscribers. Thanks again. We'll see you guys next time.